My husband Ethan and I had a perfect life, built on trust and a shared future. But I felt a cold shadow fall the moment I met Chloe, the new associate at his firm. A shadow of manipulation and desire. She tried to steal my husband with subtle smiles and late-night texts, thinking I was weak. She thought wrong. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't scream. I waited. I watched. And when I finally moved, I didn't just make her lose her job. I used her own professional ambition to create a consequence so permanent, so devastating, that she would regret crossing me for the rest of her life. This is the story of how I protected my marriage with patience and absolute precision. My life with Ethan was the realization of a lifelong dream. We met in a quiet Seattle coffee shop 7 years ago. He, an ambitious project manager in a booming tech consultancy, and I, a freelance graphic designer who valued stability and deep connection. Our bond was founded on a bedrock of unwavering trust, shared mundane rituals, and a profound respect for each other's professional lives. We were the couple that others often envied, secure, ambitious, and quietly passionate. We had just celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary, moving into a beautiful mid-century home, excitedly discussing renovations and the distant, joyful possibility of children. Ethan's career was his identity. He thrived under pressure, his dedication to his firm, Apex Solutions, being a major part of what I loved about him. His workdays were long, intense, and often consumed his evenings. I never questioned his commitment or his time away. My trust in him was absolute, a non-negotiable part of our marriage contract. Then, 4 months ago, everything changed with the introduction of one person, Chloe. She was the new associate director, placed directly on Ethan's high-profile, crucial development team. The first time I met her was at the company's annual spring gala, a night of polite smiles and polished deception. Chloe was stunning, yes, but more unsettlingly, she possessed a specific, sharp energy. She was young, fiercely ambitious, and I immediately sensed a predatory confidence about her, a way she held Ethan's gaze just a fraction of a second too long, a dismissive flick of her wrist when she acknowledged me. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but the feeling was undeniable. She didn't just see a colleague in Ethan, she saw an opportunity. Her interest in him transcended the professional boundary, laced with a dangerous familiarity that sent a shiver down my spine. The initial feeling was just that, a feeling, which I quickly dismissed as insecurity. But the feeling festered into a creeping anxiety as the little things began to accumulate. Ethan started working later, citing unexpected new project demands. He began leaving his phone face down on the table, a habit he had never possessed before. The change was gradual, insidious, attacking the very foundation of my security. I wanted to confront him, to scream or cry, but the Minji who confronted was immediately silenced by the Minji who needed proof, who needed a strategy. I decided to watch, to wait, to observe the dynamics between them without letting my suspicions poison my relationship with Ethan. My trust in him was being tested, and I vowed to proceed with the careful, quiet precision of a surgeon. The unsettling feeling that Chloe was actively pursuing my husband intensified with every passing week, evolving from a vague suspicion into a cold, hard certainty. I began paying meticulous attention to Ethan's communication patterns. The late-night texts, which he claimed were urgent team updates, became a key focus. One evening, Ethan fell asleep on the sofa after claiming exhaustion from a marathon of video conferences. His company-issued phone lay on the coffee table, vibrating softly with a new notification. It wasn't an official email or a message from a male colleague. The text was from Chloe, not saved under her full name, but under a casual, intimate nickname, Chloe. The message itself was devastatingly innocuous but intimate. "Rough night, Ethan. You deserve better than this project. Let me know when you need that venting drink we talked about." The context was a direct violation of professional boundaries. I didn't break down. I felt a chilling, calculated calm descend over me. I resisted the urge to open the message. I still needed to preserve my marriage by knowing exactly what my husband was doing, not just what she was sending. The next day, I started my investigation with absolute, quiet determination. I logged into our shared family calendar, noting every single late night, client dinner, and mandatory weekend session Ethan had scheduled over the last month. I cross-referenced this with his expense reports, which I had access to for our joint tax preparation. I noticed a series of identical, small, but frequent charges at an upscale cocktail bar near his office. Charges for 2. He always claimed these were quick team meetings. The evidence, though circumstantial, formed a sickening pattern. Chloe wasn't just flirting. She was methodically inserting herself into his personal time, testing the boundaries of his loyalty. I realized the threat wasn't a fleeting glance. It was a planned, sustained campaign of emotional manipulation designed to exploit Ethan's professional dedication. My anger wasn't aimed solely at Chloe. It was aimed at her sheer arrogance, her belief that she could destroy the sacred covenant of my marriage and my life without consequence. months. This was no longer just about protecting my husband. It was about protecting my territory and delivering a precise, permanent lesson to the predator who thought she could hunt on my land. I decided I would give her enough rope to hang herself, and I would be the one to provide the final, devastating, and professional documentation of the fall. My strategy was simple. I needed irrefutable proof of her intent, and I needed to expose her actions in a way that would be immediately and irreversibly fatal to her career. I knew that simply confronting Ethan would drive him into a defensive posture, potentially pushing him closer to Chloe's waiting arms. I had to focus entirely on her as the aggressor. The opportunity presented itself when Apex Solutions announced a major company-wide social event, a retreat weekend in the mountains aimed at fostering team collaboration. I knew this would be Chloe's ultimate hunting ground. I told Ethan I couldn't attend, citing a huge, fictitious deadline for a design project. He was disappointed but quickly accepted, which only served to fuel my resolve. I needed to be an invisible observer. Instead of staying home, I drove to the mountain resort the night before the event, checking into a discreet, separate lodge under a pseudonym. I spent the first full day of the retreat maintaining a low profile, shadowing the events from a distance, armed with nothing but my phone's camera and a heart hardening with professional resolve. The atmosphere was a chaotic mix of forced corporate networking and excessive drinking. Chloe, predictably, made her move immediately after the formal dinner, leveraging the relaxed atmosphere and the copious amount of wine. I watched her approach Ethan, a hand on his arm, a whispered comment, a laugh that was too loud, too intimate. It was a textbook, predatory maneuver. The turning point came late that night. I followed them discreetly to a secluded fire pit area. They were alone. She leaned into him, her body language aggressively intimate, and she said something that made Ethan look uncomfortable, but he did not pull away. Crucially, I wasn't just there to watch, I was there to document. Using the night mode on my camera, I captured a series of devastating photos and a short, clear video clip. The images showed Chloe initiating clear, non-professional physical contact, leaning into him aggressively, and the video captured her whispering a highly inappropriate, career-threatening comment about his marriage and her availability. I also noticed that the company's official code of conduct manual was lying forgotten on a nearby bench. I calmly, quickly, and cleanly secured that manual. It was the final, non-negotiable piece of the evidence puzzle. I drove home before dawn, leaving Ethan none the wiser, possessing not just a broken heart, but a digital dossier that was irrefutable proof of Chloe's calculated professional misconduct. With the evidence secure, I shifted from observation to surgical execution. I spent the next 2 days meticulously compiling the dossier against Chloe. This was no longer a personal vendetta. It was a corporate ethics case. The core of my strategy was to attack her professional integrity, the one thing she needed to succeed, not just her character. I cross-referenced my photos and video, showing her unprofessional, aggressive conduct at a mandatory corporate event with the specific clauses in the Apex Solutions Code of Conduct manual I had retrieved. Her actions constituted a clear, undeniable violation of the policy on workplace harassment, unethical conduct, and conflict of interest, given her subordinate role to Ethan on the team. I carefully crafted an anonymous, professionally structured document entitled Formal Ethics Complaint Regarding Associate Director Chloe Park. The complaint was cold, factual, and referenced the evidence with precision. Please see Exhibit A, photographic evidence, and Exhibit B, video transcript, documenting a severe breach of Section 4.2, conduct during official events, and Section 6.1, workplace professionalism, by Ms. Park. Crucially, I never mentioned my name, my marriage, or Ethan's full involvement. The focus was entirely on Chloe's ambition, her lack of boundaries, and the professional risk she posed to the firm. I realized that a woman as ambitious as Chloe would be utterly devastated by a professional takedown. A simple HR reprimand would be forgotten, but an official, documented ethics violation would be a permanent stain, a career killer in the interconnected tech world. I printed the dossier in a high-quality office supply store, placed the documents and the evidence drive in a large, unmarked manila envelope, and mailed it via registered courier to the head of human resources and the chief legal counsel of Apex Solutions. I deliberately avoided Ethan's direct superiors to ensure the complaint landed in the hands of those who cared most about liability and corporate image. The delivery was timed to arrive exactly on Wednesday morning, ensuring it would be the first crisis on their desks, mid-week. I watched the courier tracking update to delivered, and a cold, profound sense of power settled over me. I hadn't yelled, I hadn't cried. I had simply leveraged her own ambition against her. The inevitable corporate shockwave hit the next day, right on schedule. Ethan called me frantically around 11 a.m., his voice strained and laced with pure confusion and anxiety. Hannah, something crazy is happening. Chloe was just escorted out by security. Her access was revoked immediately. The HR director and legal counsel are in lockdown, interviewing everyone on the team. He didn't connect it to me. He assumed it was a sudden internal corporate issue or a separate complaint. I played the role of the sympathetic, slightly concerned wife perfectly. Oh, darling, that's terrible. A sudden restructuring, maybe? You focus on keeping your head down. I offered no information, only support. The investigation, fueled by the irrefutable visual evidence and the clinical, professional structure of my anonymous report, moved with brutal corporate speed. Apex Solutions, a firm obsessed with its public image and stock market compliance, could not afford a documented, proven case of executive-level harassment. The fact that the complaint was entirely focused on professional misconduct and not a jealous wife gave it immediate, non-negotiable credibility. The consequence was swift and absolute. Within 24 hours of the delivery, Chloe was terminated for severe violation of the company's ethical conduct and professionalism policy. The internal narrative was clear. She was a professional risk, a liability, and a destabilizing force. She didn't just lose her job, she lost her professional standing, her references, and the unblemished reputation she had built her entire identity upon. I felt a surge of cold, satisfying triumph. This was the consequence I had engineered: permanent, professional, and career-ending. This wasn't merely personal revenge. It was a devastating act of professional justice that would ensure she could never use that calculated, predatory ambition to harm another marriage or derail another man's life. I had used her own rulebook against her, proving that my patience and precision were far more potent than her reckless confidence. The immediate fallout presented the final, most crucial test: my relationship with Ethan. The day after Chloe's termination, Ethan came home emotionally exhausted and profoundly disturbed by the sudden chaos at his firm. He confessed the whole story, preemptively, without my asking. He admitted to the emotional intensity of the project, the excessive hours, and confessed that Chloe had been consistently, inappropriately aggressive in her advances. He admitted to the secret venting drinks, but insisted they never escalated beyond emotionally charged conversations fueled by alcohol and her manipulative sympathy. I was weak, Hannah. I was exhausted, and I let my guard down. I should have told you. I never crossed the line, but I let the line get blurry, and I risked everything for a momentary ego boost. His confession was raw, tearful, and entirely focused on his guilt and fear of losing me. This was the moment I had planned for. I didn't scream or accuse. I listened, my face serene but serious. I told him I needed time to process, focusing the conversation on his lapse in judgment and the threat he had allowed into our home, not on the predator he had enabled. My goal was not to destroy him, but to reinforce the sanctity of our marriage and the concept of mutual defense. I forgive the weakness, Ethan, I said, my voice firm, but I cannot forgive the lapse in communication. We are a fortress. You keep the gates and I keep the walls strong. Never, ever bring that kind of external chaos back into our lives again. You had a warning, and you risked everything for a momentary, empty ego stroke. His relief was immediate and total. He realized the gravity of what he had almost lost and the strength of the woman who was standing by him, demanding accountability but offering a path forward. He didn't ask about the anonymous tip. He was too consumed by guilt and the chaos at his firm. I never offered the information. By focusing on his accountability and my forgiveness, I salvaged the sacred trust of our marriage, reinforced his loyalty, and simultaneously ensured the permanent destruction of the external threat. The months that followed were characterized by a quiet, dedicated rebuilding of our marriage. Ethan, sobered by the professional chaos and his near-catastrophic mistake, became the most attentive and transparent version of himself. The late nights stopped. His phone was always face up on the table, and our communication was meticulous, focused, and honest. He understood with a profound clarity the value of the life he had almost recklessly discarded. My personal life flourished in the absence of the insidious anxiety that Chloe had created. My design studio thrived, and I channeled my strategic intensity into my own entrepreneurial success. I never spoke of Chloe again, but I occasionally received updates through my contacts in the industry. As I had planned, the corporate world is unforgiving. Her termination for ethical misconduct was a neon warning sign. She struggled to find equivalent executive work, her reputation as a professional liability preceding her in every interview. The career she had built her entire identity upon had been destroyed, not by gossip, but by a meticulously documented complaint of professional unsuitability. Her ambition, the very engine of her predatory behavior, had been permanently crippled. This realization was the deepest form of satisfaction. I had not engaged in petty, temporary revenge. I had administered a permanent professional consequence that would haunt her career for decades. I often reflected on the necessity of my extreme action. By striking at her ambition, I had ensured she would think twice before ever attempting to dismantle another marriage for a quick, ego-driven conquest. My action was not just self-preservation, it was a brutal, successful lesson in consequences for a specific type of corporate predator. I had protected my future, restored my husband's loyalty, and secured my peace, all with quiet patience and the chilling precision of a strategist. 2 years have passed since the calculated exposure. Our marriage with Ethan is stronger than it has ever been, rebuilt on a foundation of fierce honesty and the shared understanding that we are, truly, a team. We are actively planning to start a family, and our new home feels less like a house and more like the fortress I envisioned. I look back on that period with a sense of profound closure, having fully processed the betrayal and the necessary action I took. The ambitious, manipulative Chloe is long gone from the professional radar, her career trajectory permanently altered by the documented ethics complaint. I kept the code of conduct manual I retrieved from the retreat. It sits in a locked box, not as a symbol of vengeance, but as a permanent reminder of the power of preparation, patience, and professional precision. My most important lesson was not about catching a cheater, but about understanding the strength I possessed when I channeled pain into strategy. I learned that the quiet woman, the one who doesn't scream or cry, can often be the most formidable opponent. My self-worth is no longer tied to my husband's fidelity, but to my own capacity for resilience and self-defense. I protected my peace, secured my marriage, and delivered a consequence that ensures the predator regrets the day she ever mistook a quiet wife for a weak one. My life is now a testament to the fact that when you come at the queen, you must not only be ready to lose, but ready to lose everything that defines you. Thank you for listening to my story of heartbreak and ultimate justice. If you found my journey of resilience and strategy compelling, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button to support more stories of women reclaiming their power. Tell me in the comments, would you have chosen the path of personal revenge or corporate exposure? We'll be waiting for you. See you in the next story.